Welcome back to part two of our seminar, From Single to Mingle in just under 30 seconds. As we completed part one, we discussed with the guest panelists, Dave, Tammy, and Erica, about the relationship and dating online and offline, and what should people do and not do to be able to guarantee their second date. So if we go back to discussing as we mentioned, changes. As we all know, people don't like to change. They say, I'm perfect. And the other woman will say, well, I'm perfect too. So what is the time where someone has to realize, I need to change because what I've done before does not work? So what would you, when is the enlightenment happening when it comes to changing yourself and not expecting the other to change?
Well, as a coach, a lot of times people come to me and they have this issue with, a partner or a kid or a boss or someone who is in a position where they have this issue that they want to resolve. And the thing is, I can never reliably change anyone else, but my thing is, change is the only constant in the entire universe. We're all changing constantly. But the thing is, if you change, other people shift. So if you change how you're showing up, how you address them, how you speak to them, what you're asking for, other people have to shift in response to it because they can no longer do the same thing because they're working in response to you. So basically, communication is like a big loop. It's what you're putting out affects what you're getting back. And if you continue to have the same issue where you're putting out something and getting a bad, or an unwanted response in the communication from that person, you either change the way you communicate, or you at some point you might decide that, look, this can't go on, or this is something that's got to shift. And so I think usually it starts with the person who makes the person changes their own behavior first, and then other people shift.
Do you feel that they have to adapt? If, let's say, you change
some things you don't want to change, you can say no. Some people can say, you know what, look, I like me like this, and I'm just fine with that, and I don't have to change that. And in fact, if you don't appreciate this aspect of me, well, then it's not going to change. So, look, I don't think every relationship is meant to last forever. If it was sort of entered into when there were, like if you were younger or didn't understand some certain things or didn't have certain skills. So some relationships run their course. I mean, the thing is, people come to you for, it's a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And usually it's about healing a wound, and I think we talked about that a little bit earlier in the first half. It's about healing a wound, and people come to represent the same wound so you can heal it and clean it up. And, if you understand that, you get it, you can do it. Most people think it's a different person, so it's just this series of haphazard events that keeps happening to them, but they don't understand they're in a loop. And what you're putting out is what you're getting, and there's a wound that needs to be healed. And again, that's what I do, is I help my clients heal those things, help them uncover them, heal them, and clean them up so that they can move on and be in a good place.
Perfect. Well, thanks. Now, Tammy, you mentioned something in part one about on the first date, okay, who you would recommend they should pay? I mean, when it comes to paying for the date.
Right.
And I know a lot of people say, well, because of now women freedom or whatever, they they say, well, they all make money, so they can pay. Or we could go Dutch, okay, or whatever other. So what would you recommend? I mean, is like a bad karma to be able to let the woman pay, or do you feel that she should at least suggest to pay, and then the guy will just take the bill?
From a woman's perspective, okay, not just as a matchmaker and dating coach, but when I dated, I would always offer to pay because it made me feel more comfortable. I wanted them to know that I'm not just taking them for granted. I appreciate being here. I would offer. However, I would not want them to tell me that I should pay half. I offer, and I really mean it, but I really still have traditional values. But again, this is personal. The personal side of me says the man should pay because I'm more traditional, okay? I just believe in the chivalry. But again, there's no absolute hard and fast rules. I think people should do what they're comfortable with. If a man's not, may not be, or a man or a woman may not be in a financial situation to pay the whole
bill
thing. And it also depends where you're going. I mean, again, there's no total hard and fast rules. I think it's always good to offer as the woman. However, I think in the first date, I think the man should pay. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of slack on that. Sorry, but that's how that is how I feel. But if the woman insists, I guess, and woman is insistent, let the woman pay. If you're the man.
Now, don't you guys like feel when you go into dinner with a woman and then you're about to want to pay the bill, and then the only thing that you look at the menu is the price of the object, and you say, please, let's hope she doesn't order that. All right, so I beg she doesn't order that, because of course, when it comes to being responsible to pay the whole bill, if she looks at lobster bisque at $99, you might say, oh, that's a bit too much.
Yeah, but you chose the plate.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Right. To me, if the man is picking the place, then he needs to pick a place that he can afford.
McDonald's?
I don't care. I don't care. It could be McDonald's, but then you pick a place that's within your means.
Okay.
Okay, so that you're not nervous, you're not uncomfortable, you're not thinking about that the whole date. If that's something
Yeah, that makes
you're
perfect
worried
sense.
about, then you're not going to be relaxed. It's not going to go well. So, whatever you can afford.
I have a lot to say on this topic.
Please.
And I agree actually with everything Tammy said. I know I'm surprising
thanks,
you by
Erica.
saying that. But first of all, if you're meeting online, I don't recommend dinner. I recommend drinks, coffee, something that isn't going to take too long and isn't going to break the bank, because you can always add dinner, but you can't take it back, right? So you meet for a cup of coffee, you meet for a drink. It's an easy out if you don't want to be there anymore after that drink. But if you like each other, you can continue. I am all about equality in that, as a woman, write to the man if you want. And again, we're defaulting to opposite sex couples. Much of this advice is the same for same sex couples. But
Agreed.
however, I also believe in chivalry. I mean, not just with paying. I can physically open a door, but it's certainly nice if a man offers to do that for me. Sure, I can do it. I went to the gym. I can pull it open.
You have muscles.
But there's something to be said for feeling, Dave alluded to it before, for feeling protected, for feeling safe. And most women do want to feel protected and safe. A lot of my female clients ask me, well, if I don't like him, should I offer? That's an interesting question, and I say, or should I pay? That's what they ask me. I like the offer, I agree. And I say, no, because it's still a date. He has invited you, presumably, and you owe him nothing except a genuine thank you. So you don't owe him a kiss, you don't owe him another date, you don't owe him anything other than a genuine appreciation, because I think a lot of men struggle with the fact that they believe women feel entitled sometimes, like they should be paying and they're not thanked enough. All you have to do is genuinely thank someone, and that's it.
Interesting.
Can I weigh in on this?
Oh, please, go ahead.
Okay, so I wrote a blog about this a while back, and so I have a little theory about this. Remember, I'm talking about masculine, feminine energy. Masculine has two gifts. He can protect and provide. Those are his gifts, as you alluded to. Thank you. So, yes, he should provide that, in my view. And so, now I do agree also that you can certainly offer if you want to, but that sort of takes away a little bit of the joy of giving, perhaps, if he doesn't want to. Or, what I think sets up the whole thing best is if you use it to subtly stay in your energy and educate someone else. And I'd love to hear what you think about this too. So, what I wrote in the blog, and what you could say is, if the check comes and he reaches for it and grabs it and he's got it,
You're done.
you're done.
You just
You
say
know what
thank
it
you.
is. If the check is still sitting there for maybe 10, 15, 20, half an hour, and you say, so the thing, what I would suggest that women say, that I think works well, is say, hey, listen, about that bill, if you would like it, I'm happy to split that with you if you want to. But you know what? I read something a long time ago in a blog, the blog that I wrote, and it said men like to protect and
boy.
provide. And so if that's important for you, I don't want to take that away from you. Now, here's the thing.
Reverse psychology.
He might not know that. But if you subtly educate him and say, oh, this is me getting to provide for you.
Oh,
Wow.
I don't.
Like, no, you may disagree. It's okay. I think it's a good way to put it out there. And if you do have to split the bill, then you split the bill, and then you know what you're dealing with. But I think it's a good subtle way to educate it, and it presumes that they do want to, but it doesn't assume. And so I think you set it up in your favor. It's like it's playing the odds against, essentially. And I think you leave people, again, better than you found them. So you've educated them, and maybe they totally disagree. Maybe they're not going to do it, and you split the bill, or maybe you end up taking the whole bill if they're a total deadbeat. I don't know. But I don't know.
You seem to not agree
If that
there,
check is, I call that the game of pick up check. Who's going to pick it up first, right?
Alligator arms.
Yeah, I would not try to educate. I mean, I wouldn't want to sound like I know more than they do and I'm right. So I would just say, should we take care of this? Because it's sitting there.
Or
and
how
then
should we take
my
care of
favorite
this?
way of telling women, or if they want to make the offer, is, oh, would you like me to contribute? Because that kind of does assume that he's paying. It's not, should we split this? I think there's nothing tackier than 2 credit cards on a date, because that to me goes to friend zone, right? And if you like that person, you can easily say, thank you so much, I want to buy the drinks after. You know, because that way you're taking turns, or I'll get the next date. You know, that way the person also knows you want to see him or
Them
her
again.
again. Right. So
Assuming there's going to be one.
if there is
Yeah.
going to be one, and if there's not, so be it. But yeah, if it's sitting there awkwardly, I would just say, should we take care of this? Should we get going? And go from there.
Interesting. Now, if we go with what you just mentioned in terms of paying for the first date, and then the next date you pay for it. I mean, you kind of like bounce back and forth.
I mean,
depending
what would
exactly.
be ideal as a woman and as a dating coach would be that, for being perfectly honest, I'd like for the guy to pay twice. And then
Twice in a row, that is.
yeah,
Okay.
to show me he likes me, he cares, he wants to contribute. I have no problem paying, I make money, but it's a nice gesture. I consider that exactly the same as opening the door, or as calling me, or as confirming the date. To me, they're all, I want to show you you're special.
And how do you show him that he's special?
I mean, we make out, obviously,
Okay.
but no.
Well, that goes to the expectation level now.
I was joking.
Okay.
Before the show, I told you that you're very handsome.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, you share what you're feeling with someone. So if I like you, or if a female client likes someone, I tell her to say, I like you. I'd like to do this again. Give that positive reinforcement. Someone else said positive reinforcement. It's all about that. So it's not a game of showing the other person that you feel special. It's actually treating them in a special manner, how you want to. And if you want to continue seeing this person, don't make them guess. Because a lot of it's interesting, some of my female clients say to me, well, he didn't ask me out again, he's not interested. And I said, did you show that you were interested? Well, no, he should know. Well, he doesn't know. So it's actually expressing yourself, and that's making someone feel special. And whatever that expression is, whether it's paying or a compliment or this or that, it's the way you know how to show someone.
It's being authentic.
Yeah.
In a good place. Yeah.
Now, when would you say, or share, all three of you, I mean, you must at least kind of share the same opinion about physical intimacy. Yeah, we'll talk about sex now.
Let's talk about sex.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah. So when is there like a 3-day rule with that, or 3-date rule? I mean, not 3 dates, 3-date rule.
I mean, whatever floats
I mean,
your boat,
it's-
right?
Who paid for dinner again?
Without the woman feeling like, hey, I'm giving my body away to every walking man on planet Earth. So, I mean, what's the level of respect that they could give to themselves to say that I made him wait, and he was worth the wait?
You want to
Anyone?
go first, Tammy?
Oh, it's a big one.
It's a big
is a
one,
big
yes.
one.
Well, I mean, again, there's no absolutes, except if somebody's looking for a relationship, it depends what you're looking for. If you're just looking for a hookup, anytime's
There's
fine.
Tinder for that, yeah.
Okay, but if you're looking for a long-term partner, I always recommend to wait. Okay, now just because, again, I think men like the pursuit. I think they like the challenge. I think we all do, but especially men. They're competitive by nature. So I feel like if intimacy is too quick, you kind of burn out the relationship. It's like you've put it on overdrive, and it kind of surpasses the natural evolution of a relationship. And I always think if you're talking about you're meeting somebody like or even somebody you've been friends with, somebody completely new, to have sex with them within the first few dates, I know that goes on a lot, but I think it's a recipe for disaster. I think it's much better to build the foundation, to build a friendship, to feel safe physically and emotionally with the person, feel comfortable, and then that can happen when it happens, but if somebody really likes you, having sex with them is not going to make you like them more. If anything, it could turn them off because they're like, wow, does she have any self-respect? Like, she had sex with me on the second date. Again, I'm not judging what other people do. Like, if it works for you and that's what you love, great. But as a dating coach, matchmaker, and therapist, I say, just slow it down. Get to know the person.
Yeah, take
you
your
know, and you don't have to go from, intimacy is a huge topic. It's everything from talking about your feelings, which is the emotional intimacy, to the physical intimacy, which can be holding hands, touching somebody's arm, kissing. There's many levels of it. So you don't have to go from 0 to 100 within the first few weeks. So I think, it's much better to just take your time and have something to look forward to, so that the excitement builds and the suspense, and I think all of that, savor it. So again, that's
All depends,
just
whatever works you both.
exactly. But I you can't, again, nobody should judge other people, and I'm sure people have had sex on the first date and have been married for 30 years. So I'm not, again, I don't think there's completely any absolutes here. But my recommendation is just, take your time, because get them to like you, first.
Erica, your point of view on that?
I agree with all of that. The only thing I have to add is that, especially as a woman, you can't really blame a guy for trying, right?
No, you
Because
can't.
a lot of my female clients will be like, oh my God, he tried to sleep. Of course he did.
Especially if you pay for
Masculine.
dinner.
Enough with the paying. So I actually say, hey, if he tries to sleep with you on the first date, it means he's attracted to you. That's what you need to take out of it, right? And that's it. You can't blame him for trying, right? Whatever. But it just means that, I do believe, and I'd be curious to know your take, I do believe men are pretty binary. They see a woman and it's 0, 1. 1, I'll sleep with her. 0, I won't. Whereas women take more of the package
Mostly
into
one.
account. Yeah, I know, because we're visual too, but we take emotional and all of that into account too. So I agree. If you're looking for a serious relationship with someone, you have to build a foundation before you get in bed with them, because you don't often take the time to step back after that. Once you're sleeping with someone, you're going to want to sleep with someone all the time, and great. But you don't usually take a step back to learn about them in a nice manner anymore. But yeah, can't blame him for trying.
Do you recommend to verbalize it on the first or second date to lower expectation?
No,
Absolutely not.
no.
Well, because if let's say they feel that maybe you want to take them into the friend zone or not. It all depends on how your body language is.
There are
But
other
if
things besides sex.
Well, yeah,
there's
I hope so.
kissing, there's holding hands. You don't have to jump to sex to know that you're interested in the other person, right? There's so many other ways.
Absolutely.
how do you hear the audience? How do you demonstrate your attraction towards a person, minus the sex part, of course? If you can just go up to the microphone, please, so we could hear you.
Yeah, get
That would be
tush
great.
up here.
And everyone, please just get up and share your.
I agree. I don't want to have sex with a man right away because I need to feel emotionally safe with the
That's
man.
true.
And I will
Absolutely.
wait until I trust him with my heart. And once I have sex with a man, I'm not as objective.
That's true.
That is
'Cause
true.
Women get more emotionally invested.
Attached.
I wait
Yeah,
for
attached.
the 3 words, I love you. And if he doesn't love me, I don't want to have sex with him.
Just make sure he doesn't say it on the first date to get you.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, exactly.
No.
To expedite the process.
Clip to the back of the book.
I tell the man,
Right.
in order for me to have sex with a man, I need to be mutually exclusive.
Agree.
Well,
And
and
I
that's,
always say
that's
that.
good. That's your comfort zone, and I think it's good that you're open and honest about that, so they know where where you stand.
I agree.
And also, I forgot the last topic.
I'm sure it'll come to
I
you.
Yeah,
had
we'll
a
come back to
comment to make.
The
I
paying
will.
problem.
You can always come back to the mic.
I agree with what you guys say. I think that you really need to go when you're on a date and decide what is your purpose, what's your dating purpose, right? Is your dating purpose you want to have a hookup, right? Then it's open on the table and things are easy. If you don't want to do that, it's a boundary issue. You need to be very precise about your boundary, because us women, we need our space and we mightn't want to be kissed on the first date. And I think it's a matter of just relaying to whoever you're having a date with as to where your boundary lies. And I know that a lot of women have issues with putting up a boundary, because like, oh, if I don't kiss him, well, then is he going to ask me on another date? If you don't want to kiss him, just don't kiss him, and just say to him, look, I'm sorry, it's a bit soon, I don't feel comfortable with that. you know, and keeping in mind that there's been a number of studies done that when women have sex, and you might want to blot this out, when women have sex and they have an orgasm in the presence with a man, they stay connected through oxytocin to that man to the next period. So they are connected and bonded together. Yeah, and so what happens is she's got an emotional connection with this man, and then she has the next period, and then her emotional connection releases again. But then if she continues to have sex, she continues to rebond again. You know?
Presuming he knows how to give her an orgasm.
Well, actually, it's in the presence. It's actually the evidence is in the presence of a man, believe it or not. So, but yeah, and so I think, you know, really, once again, it's like, you know, waiting for time, and I agree, absolutely agree. I saw something on television being interviewed the other day about men being interviewed on this same question. And the men were saying, if I really like a woman and I want to be with her, then for God's sake, keep your legs together before you date me, because they don't want to marry. Like, there's a woman that they date and there's a woman that they want to marry, and they can be two different women. And they don't want the threat of a woman who has sex on the first or second date, because they go, oh my God, what happens if my mate, you know, asks her out or something? And so a lot of men have made comment, which I thought was really interesting, because that was actually coming from the response of men, which I thought, which was exactly what you were saying. So,
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your input.
So I'm sort of curious about double standards in a way.
Total double standard.
Yeah. So going on a date, you know, recently I sort of realized that certain things that, you know, my date would not have tolerated that she did to me. So it was like, you know.
Can you be more specific?
Sure. She said, you know, don't be late. You know, absolutely let me know if you're going to be late at all. And she was 15 minutes late. So.
Ouch.
That's called
just
projection.
hypocritical.
That's called
Practice
projection.
what you preach, kind of.
Yeah.
So, you know, so I let it go because, you know, everyone screws up once or twice. And then a couple of other things happened, like later. And, well, bottom line, I sort of didn't want to go with it, and I didn't ask her out again. But then I looked back, and I was like, you know what? You know, she definitely wanted to see me again. And so now that I think about it, I think I might have given it another shot because I'm more patient now. But I mean, what is the tipping point? You know, like, I know that it's different for everyone. But I
Did
think.
you ask her the reason why she was late? If it could be traffic, it could be anything.
Oh, well, yeah, no, she explained.
Oh,
she
she did, okay.
explained. She didn't let me know she was going to be late, but she explained. Like, my question to you all is, you know, how long do you give someone the benefit of the doubt before you sort of draw the line? Like, I feel that I might have drawn it like a little bit too soon.
Possibly.
That's a really good question.
The way I look at it is like every incident like that is a dot. And if you think about it, if you open up a newspaper or a magazine, every picture is composed of dots. So when somebody tells you who they are, you need to believe them. If you start getting a bunch of dots, you get a really clear picture. Like if someone is all projecting all their stuff on you, like you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that, and they're not really graceful and they're not accepting, and you know, like you start to put it together. But like one thing in isolation, it could just be, okay, you just notice it, and then you start to assemble it. But once the picture becomes clear and you're like, ooh, boy, she's very self-centered, then you know. But you know, it's just about developing enough dots so you can get a clear picture. One dot is not a complete picture.
That's interesting. I also think people put a lot of pressure on themselves to make these big decisions after a first date. And the reality of it is, I tell my clients a first date is to see if you have rapport. A second date is if you want to have one more conversation. And in this case, if you had been even considering having one more conversation, I would have encouraged you to go on the date. Because you don't have to make big decisions. It's just another hour out of your life, right? So I know that doesn't exactly answer the question, but I think you're looking for things to decide. Should I have decided this? Or there's no decision that needs to be made. It's just, do I want to have another drink?
I totally agree with what Erica is saying. I always tell people, you don't need to know on the first or second date whether, do I want this person to be my boyfriend or girlfriend? Am I gonna, could I marry this person? Those are way too big for us to figure out, too big, overwhelming decisions. All you need to know is did I see enough about this person? Did I see some qualities or something that makes me want to see them again? So you break it down into very small pieces, and all you need to do is, did I like this person or enjoy talking to them enough to see them again? Because what I think happens is, we get the clarity naturally as we just go through the process. We can't overthink it and think, oh, if I think about it and analyze enough, I'll get to the decision. By going through the motions, spending time with the person and watching them, watching how they act, observing, we do form a picture, we get a clear picture, and we then feel comfortable with, no, you know, this is a great person, but not for me. Where I just see enough things that I don't like, a pattern's built up, where I'm seeing things that just, you know, I don't feel good about. So there's no exact time. It's just, I agree with what you said. When you see enough things that build up and it outweighs the good stuff, you know, it's like deposits versus withdrawals in a bank. When the withdrawals,
You're bankrupt.
right, you've depleted yourself. And, you know, it's not like if someone's late, but oh my God, they were so generous and they listened so well and they're so intelligent. You are able to overlook maybe the lateness. But if they're late and then they don't pay and they look like a mess, like they didn't take a shower, you know what I mean? And they didn't listen to me and they got on their cell phone. When all those things add up, again, you know, the tipping point is personal, but you want to pay attention. You know, you want to watch the picture, take notes, and if it starts to see like there's a lot of things here that are building up in that negative column.
I actually think part of that, though, is healthy, because sometimes when we're so attracted to someone, and this goes off on a tangent, but you know how sometimes you're so attracted to someone you overlook all of these little dots? I actually think it's healthy to notice them, because it shows you that you're seeing this as a whole person. Because I think we've all been in the situation where it's like hot, 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 and we're like, oh, they were late, whatever, or you know.
Especially in the beginning.
So I think it's actually good to take note of the dots.
Definitely.
So basically, you would say that you give a person like a few different chances. You can chalk it up to nervousness or whatever, and then just kind of go with your gut.
Well, and do you see patterns? Do you see patterns of negativity that, you know, it's not just an isolated situation? There's a pattern here, and of many, you know, could be one thing, if that's a deal breaker for you, like being on the cell phone every single time, you know, could be a deal breaker, or is it a lot of little things, negative things that are now building, and it's just, you know, you arrive at that decision. So again, there's no definite formula for this, but like Eric was saying, pay attention, take notice, because when we are attracted to someone, we're not always thinking clearly and logically, and our judgment's a little off. So it is good to pay attention, notice, take note in your head. Keep a record.
Thanks. Did you cut the cord too quickly?
Is she single? Reach out.
Yeah, you seem to have regrets. I think you should reach
out.
Yeah.
Well, it was a second date, and that was just like the first thing that happened. So I mean.
Well, so maybe you need that third date, because you
sounds
still
like-
have a question mark.
I agree.
Give it a chance.
Yes, and I can tell it's kind of eating at you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let us know what
Okay.
happens.
Yes.
We'll be back here next week.
Okay, so my question is also related to how people kind of present themselves, and it's related to online dating. So let's say you're going through this online profile and your eyes land on this amazing photo. They're really beautiful or handsome or whatever. Then you take it to real life and the beauty becomes the beast.
Okay.
So is this like a red flag, or is this something, because you could feel tricked that.
In
you know,
what
So
way?
they've lied
What do
to
you
you?
mean?
Is that what you mean?
So let's say they present this really beautiful picture of themselves, whether it's younger or skinnier or whatever, and then they come in real life and they've obviously gone through maybe some life changes, and you might feel a bit deceptive.
Weight gain kind of life changes?
Yeah, or that, or they're older than they appear, or something.
They've
you know,
lied
and
to
the-
you.
Or
Yeah.
they use
Yeah.
different pictures.
Basically.
Or use different
that is
picture, yeah.
not
So I,
them.
Yeah, that's
Deception.
deception.
So
And
this
you
would be
have
like
every
a red
right
flag.
to say, I feel like your photos just didn't represent who you are.
right.
You have every right to say it. Most people don't, because they're polite. I would say that. You know, I feel like I was a little bit duped into getting here.
Right.
You know, and that would be okay. I hope that doesn't happen
No,
too
I-
often. You were going to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say that if they will be phony about that, or if they would lie
What
about
else are they
that,
lying
or
about?
put up old pictures, what else would they
Right.
lie about? Exactly
Yeah.
what I was going to say.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
just
I
a lack
think-
of confidence. You know, if somebody lies about his or her age, her physical appearance, it's a lack of confidence on their part, and unfortunately, it's being pushed onto you because you're the one whose time is being wasted.
Right.
So I've had that happen to me.
Okay.
And I went on a date. It was a brunch date, and I'm 5'1", so height's not something I care about. I don't care if you're 5'1", 5'2", whatever. He said in his profile he was 5'7", whatever. I get there and I'm taller than he is.
Ouch.
And that's tough to do to begin with. And I said, "You're not 5'7", and he said, "Oh well, I'm 5'5". I said, "Well."
If I wear heels.
I said, "Well, you're not," and that's still a lie. And then we continued talking, and he had said he was 39, and then I innocently asked if he had children, and he goes, "I have something to tell you." And I'm like, "Oh God." He was 46, and I just completely, I said, "Look, you're a nice person, and in other circumstances, I may very well have gone out with you again, but I feel deceived. I don't know what else is going on here." And I politely wrapped it up and left. And I felt comfortable telling him that because he knew it.
Right.
Yeah.
But
For you?
I think he had to go through someone calling him out on it to, I don't know whether he
Wake
changed
him
his
up, yeah.
behavior. He apologized, and I said, "Don't apologize to me, just don't do it again." And it's okay if you're disappointed and you show that, because that's on the other person.
Way to take one for the sisters.
Yes.
I tried.
Good for you. He needed that experience though
Yeah.
too, because it's just not cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
But people do it.
Yeah, they do.
So
and
you need to be
that's
wary.
not you. You didn't attract someone who lied. It's just their lack of confidence.
But won't they realize? I mean, if let's say someone
It's
says
the
they're
dumbest
5'1",
thing when someone's going to meet you.
yeah, I mean they're gonna say, "Excuse me, 5'1" instead of 4'1". There's like a foot difference here, so it's yeah.
Because
I'm
they think,
Had a
surprised.
good
they think
day.
they're going to win you over with their glorious personality, but the reality of it is you already have in your head, you've lied to me, so you're not even open to seeing their personality because it's shadowed by that lie.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Good for you.
This speaks to what you just said about lying, deception. So I've gotten two schools of thought. Since the searches online tend to be
Age.
by category, 40 to 45 or 45 to 50, and the general school of thought that I've gotten is that men obviously prefer younger women. So is it a real lie, deception? In reality, it is to shave a couple years to put you under the 50 or
I think
under
you
the
just
45.
answered your own question. You just said, I'm sure it is. Yeah, it's a lie.
Even to get into the
Yes.
search.
Yeah.
Okay, and my second question is,
Should
what school of thought are you regarding the chemistry? Some school of thought is if it's there from the first date, and some school of thought is wait until the second or third date, and if it's still not there.
Is it progressive
I'll
in terms
start.
of?
I mean,
chemistry.
I've had it where I wasn't initially attracted to somebody, and then I got to know them, and I did find myself attracted to them. So I think it just depends, but I think it's just best to be open-minded. If you see other things besides their looks that are appealing to you, I always think you don't want to ruin a good thing. It could be a good thing, and what do you have to lose? So if you had a decent, nice time, or the conversation was good, but maybe there wasn't these major sparks, I would let it keep playing itself out, because sometimes I find that comes later. It's just like your friends. I think all my friends are beautiful because I know them personally.
That's true.
All my girlfriends. Okay, so other people may not, but they're just they don't know them the way I know them. So I find especially women, we know that when we get to know somebody, we see their inner beauty, and that's that can set off those sparks. So unless you're totally grossed out, if you're not grossed out, keep going with
If
it.
you didn't vomit, then
Yeah, yeah.
you're good to go.
And think of it this way too, it's the difference between a flash fire and a slow burn. If it's someone that you're meant to be with for like the rest of your life, you want a slow burn that's going to go for a long time. And a flash fire is like, oh my gosh, there's all this chemistry, and that can be fleeting. Like that can be
Burns
gone
out.
in a
Lust.
day.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, it's lust. It's
That's
a
true.
little different thing. But if you're looking for something that, again, it's about the stage you're in and what you're looking for. You're looking for something that goes and has the ability to last. Like, that might actually be a great thing to get to know this person. And again, I said earlier today, my number one thing that I suggest people look for is character, because character that's who they are, and it's who they're going to be, and it's who they're going to be long term. Again, the other stuff, looks and weight and hair,
that to your
all that stuff.
male clients? I don't find,
Absolutely, I
mean,
do.
I very rarely
I don't have
find
a
man
lot.
who doesn't care
Yeah.
about the looks.
And let me say this about what people were saying also about, your statement about men prefer someone younger. Yes, they do. But let me redefine that for you in a different way, and I hope you take it with you and it serves you. What men are really looking for is radiance. They're looking for youthful vitality. They're looking for someone who is just in a great place, and they feel good being with them. Now, if you say, what age are you looking for? You might pick a number out of thin air. Like if he says, well, I'm looking for someone who's 35, but so you're 41 or something, and you're not making that grade or something, like you're not fitting into that 5-year time slot, I wouldn't worry about that. Again, it goes about knowing your value. I think it's one of those things that tears us down. It's like if you cross over that line, and I just turned 50, so if you cross over that line, it's like, oh my gosh, now I'm not young anymore. But I think young is how you show up.
How you feel.
Yeah,
not a number.
it's your vitality. It's look at some of these celebrities now who are like 60 years old and looking amazing. I mean, because they take care of themselves better, and it's different. So when they pick a number out of thin air, it's just a number. It's what they think, but they haven't met you. So if you're
Yeah, but
incredibly
she wants
youthful
the
and radiant and vibrant, that's great.
I still wouldn't recommend lying, but I
I'm
hear
not
what
saying
you're
that.
saying about you want the opportunity to meet. They're going to see how vibrant she is in real life, but she is not getting that opportunity, which
you
is
don't
That's
fit
a good
into
point.
I know,
Not getting
searches
through
is
the-
what I'm saying.
through the
which
gate.
is a shame.
Great
And
bad
there's
eyes,
I
yeah.
wish there was something we could do about it. But
Matchmaking.
I'm saying it on TV.
Or
So
speed
hopefully
dating.
they hear it.
I will say though, just to wrap up, I would not put an arbitrary. You said like 2, 3. I wouldn't put an arbitrary number of dates on something to see if there's chemistry. It'll run its course, like Tammy said, and I get this question a lot. Am I leading someone on because I just want to see? And the answer is no. The point of dating is to see. So you're not leading someone on by accepting a second or a third date. If you're still trying to feel it out, that's what dating's for.
Right. And just, you've mentioned sex, et cetera, and safety, but you haven't mentioned actually diseases, sexual transmitted.
Oh.
So how would you word 6-8 months? This is something that you think is going to really go permanent. You're ready for that step. But what's an inoffensive way, if that's what you want to draw a line at, of requesting that someone be tested?
I think you should say, I would like to be intimate with you. I'm really at that point. But I need you, I feel most comfortable if you get tested first.
And volunteer to do it yourself too. of
Yes,
course. Do it
and
together.
let's go both,
That's great.
go and get tested so that
Give you a date.
you're not, right,
Who pays?
right,
Split.
right. So you're not attacking, you're not assuming, you're putting yourself in the mix. Let's go together. Let's go, let's both, find out. And I think it's really smart. I think it really needs to happen because somebody may seem very honest and trusting, and this happens to good people, to STDs. So, we had a client yesterday that said she had an STD because her husband had an affair on her. And this was like 25 years ago. And she has a PhD, and you would never look at her and think, but you just don't know. And my own doctor said she's had where spouses have lied and they've given each other AIDS. So, because one is having an affair and they don't know it. And literally, like in the hospital, this is being revealed. So I think you have to be really direct, not accuse, but hey, let's do this. This just makes sense given what's going on these days with STDs. And, it's not personal, it's just my comfort level. This just would make me feel good, so I can relax and have a more enjoyable, intimate experience.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Although again, this does vary, but as a general rule, how many dates would you say it would take where people can establish themselves as boyfriend and girlfriend respectively?
Well, again, I think it varies. Again, there's no set timetable here, but I think, it's something where you feel there's been consistency. in the number of interactions between whether it's talking on the phone or seeing each other, that there's been some regularity. And when you feel you're at the point yourself that you're not interested in dating others, I wouldn't do it like in the very beginning.
No.
I mean, because that scares somebody away. Even if you really, really like somebody, you don't want to say that in the beginning because nobody wants to feel controlled. So, I mean, I would give it, I don't know, at least a month or two. But again, there's a lot of variance here. But it's really the consistency of communication and seeing each other, the regularity, and is it assumed that we see, has it been assumed that we see each other every, weekend? Because, if you're not seeing them some weekends, you have to start thinking, well, what else are they doing? Which is their prerogative. But yeah, at some point you want to have that conversation. If you want to take it to the next level, that needs to happen.
Has to be a conversation, because often one party will assume the other one is not seeing other people and the other one may very well be seeing other people. So it has to be a defined conversation where you come out knowing where you stand. And if you're ready to be exclusive with someone, I would just say it. I'm not seeing anyone else. I don't want to. How do you feel about that? No
Thank you.
timeline though.
It's always good to ask, where do you see it going? And then they will answer. At least we hope.
I have some thoughts about, like, I'm fine with the traditional thing. I think we're sort of wired biologically. I can be the chaser, and I can pay for the first few dates or whatever. I can pursue the sex, and all that. But then there's the exceptions, and I'm thinking there's also evolution or something. But maybe the young people do this more. But there's like where I think women want to be protected and security, but then guys do too. And so where do you I'm just looking for the balance. People protect each other to some extent. So I don't know. I'm just saying. There's a lot of these kind of regular things that are in the dating books, and then there's all the exceptions. And just any thoughts on that?
I'm not sure I quite followed.
Yeah, I think when you say men want to be protected too, I think men don't naturally feel at risk or unsafe as much as feminine does. And again, when I talk about masculine and feminine, we're humans. We have both aspects. When I'm coaching, I'm actually coaching a lot of times from feminine. My core is masculine, but I coach from feminine because feminine is about nurturing. It's about caretaking. It's about providing a safe space where someone feels they can open up to me. So I don't coach from that perspective, but I own that aspect of myself. So I use the full bandwidth. So I'm not sure I understand what you mean when you say men want to be protected too. I think what you mean is men want to have some certainty also. They want to know where they stand, maybe. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that would be part of it. Or
Okay.
just generally, they want intimacy and protection.
Like
Nurturing?
That would be part of it.
Sure.
Of course.
They want,
Right.
otherwise they wouldn't even be doing it.
Sure. Right.
Sure,
A lot
the
of
sex would be
times,
great,
right.
but that would be temporary.
Right. Again, I don't think any of us fit perfectly into a little box. We're very complex. We all have many layers. And as I was telling Dave, I think my boyfriend has both, masculine and feminine qualities, and that's, appeals to me. I think we're all very dynamic. And so I think, you, like you were saying, you may have the same needs as what a woman does, and that's fine. That's fine. We're all different. But I think it's good to be aware of what you need and what's important to you, so that if you're looking for a relationship, you're really paying attention to, what is this person like, and how are they making me feel, and what do they bring out in me, and what do I bring out in them, because there's no formula for any of this. And so we can get very confused, but we have to just pay attention and also trust ourselves, listen to ourselves, trust how we feel. That's really important.
And it's trial and error.
Yeah.
You're never going to get it right the first time around.
And I would just say one more thing. It's easy, especially nowadays when everybody's challenging gender roles and all this. It's very easy to get confused. Like you offer to pay and then
Yeah.
she gets mad, or vice versa,
Yeah.
or whatever. People have different ideas about what's.
I mean, that's what I was trying to say before. Usually people are kind of trained by the last person they went out with, right? They don't know.
True.
So
Right.
if the last woman said, "I am woman, hear me roar," he now thinks every woman is, "I am woman, hear me roar." So the only way to do it is to figure out individually what people want and ask them.
Or their last husband or wife, or
I said last person,
Yeah,
so
last
I don't
It
care
could
what
be
that
anything.
is.
yeah.
I think you need to figure out what you want and not be so swayed by preferences that you're getting from outside of you. So even if someone has a real issue with that, like says, "Oh, I'm going to pay," that doesn't mean that that's okay. That's fine, but it will probably be your last date because your
maybe you're-
values-wise, you're not compatible.
That's true.
Yeah, maybe
yeah.
you're poor and she's like, works in Manhattan and makes
Right.
5 figures. Who knows?
But should that matter?
Right.
Because we were talking about that before. I don't think it matters who makes more on the. It's still the whole. It's a date. That's it. Like if someone is not in the class of people you think you should be going out with, whatever that means to you, then don't go. You know, if you're basing it on, well, she makes more, so no. Just because she makes more doesn't mean she should be penalized for
Yes.
paying for all of your dates. You know what I mean? Like that would. I had a good example of this that I'll come back to later. I can't remember what it was. Let's say you're a very successful doctor, right? And someone comes to you and says, well, take me for free because you already have enough clients. Like, it's not like you need my money or anything. That's like saying, well, you did so well, but I should get things from, that's not a good dating dynamic. That's not a good people dynamic. So I don't think it matters anyone's status. It's just how do you want to relate to each other? I'm sorry I went off, but you said that and it struck
No,
something.
that makes sense, especially in the first few dates. Now, once you start a relationship, you got to sort of.
And
Figure it
just don't
out.
ask her for a bank statement. That's
Yeah.
all you think of.
Oh my God, I was reading this article yesterday because, I have my Google alert set for, I have to read, all the online dating articles. This is horrible. Someone in his Tinder profile had a screenshot of his bank statement and it was like 173. I almost puked on my phone. I mean, that's sick.
But
So,
this is only serving a specific
A
type
little
of women
tacky.
well,
that
you
are
know
gold
what he's
diggers.
looking for.
Well,
is
it's
someone who
just-
wants someone who makes money.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like
Go find it.
Yeah.
online dating pictures where the man is standing in front
With
of a
his
very
car.
fancy car, and
Yeah.
they think that's really
Ferrari or
impressive.
whatever it
Yep.
is. That's
Yeah,
pathetic.
I'm
Or
like-
a woman who has her chest hanging out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Moving
Sorry.
on. Sorry.
Hi. So, all right, I have a question. When you're on that first date, what do you think of the idea of trying to close the second date, like right there when you're on the date, as opposed to playing phone tag or texting back and forth? Because that's what I've tried to do lately. Try to set a second date, like right there. Maybe ask her out to go dancing or something. So, what do you think about that?
Well, what has been your reaction to that? What has been their reaction when you ask her out? Or him? I don't know.
That's a good question.
Do you get a yes? Do you get a maybe? Do you get a no? Do you get call me?
So, on some occasions, I would get a yes, but
So do it. If the person is into you, they'll agree to go out with you again.
Or they have to be polite.
Or be polite. Yeah. If you're feeling it, go crazy.
okay.
That's what I recommend. I don't know what other people
I mean,
do.
if she doesn't answer your text, she just said yes just to be able to kind of get rid of you quickly enough. After like 3-4 tries, that's it. You gotta
I
cut it
will
loose.
say, right, I agree. If, let's say, you say, I'll be in touch, I'd love to see you again, and you text this person, and he or she doesn't respond, first of all, that's rude, and I tell everybody they have to respond, because if someone makes him or herself vulnerable, you owe them a response. But if that person doesn't answer, it's not going anywhere. If he or she answers and declines, it's not going anywhere. But I say, why beat around the bush? If you're interested, go for it.
Know what you want, go after it,
Yeah.
pursue it. That's great. It's not only it's good energy for you. It feels good to you to just be solid, concise, know what you want, and go after it. And if for whatever reason you don't get a yes, move on.
Yeah.
Next.
That's better
There's
than the
plenty of fish in the
wishy-washy text back and forth all week. Is he going to ask me out again? I'd rather just,
Yeah.
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
Cut to the chase.
All right. All right. Good.
go crazy.
It's actually an attractive quality for
very
a man who
attractive.
knows what he wants.
Yes.
And who's confident enough to ask for it.
Absolutely. Good for you.
Good work.
Thank you.
Go
Nicely
team.
done.
Okay.
Report back.
That's my line.
First, I want to apologize. I thought the name of the beat was Deciphering the Date Code, and I have this bag in my fridge which says used by. No.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. That wasn't a sarcastic.
I-
that was a real one.
So, a couple of things. One is when I approach somebody for a date, I actually give them the option of choosing where to, because I want her to be safe and feel comfortable where she is. So that might conflict with the budget issue, but you can always say no, right?
Can I interrupt? I have thoughts. Ask her where it's convenient for her, what location, like what neighborhood, where she'll be coming from, but then I want you to choose the place. Or give her 3 choices. If you don't know the area very well, that's what Yelp and Google Maps are for. So because she feels a lot of pressure, I don't know if he wants a dive, I don't know if he wants a fancy place, I don't know, does he want me to pay now that he's making me choose? It's so much pressure that if you just be a gentleman and say what's convenient, what location is convenient for you, and then offer her a choice, that will be the way to do it.
Second is you talked about online and red flags. So a couple of things I noticed. If you embed your phone number in your call, in your online name, don't
Match
go
will
there.
shut you down.
They actually.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
But also, and that's just talking about profiles, if your profile full of spelling errors and bad grammar, to me that's a red
It's a
flag.
turn off, yeah.
Agree.
It's a very turn off.
I'll add one more to the turnoffs, or red flags that we were talking about. I agree with everything that you both said, or everybody said. The one I would also caution you against as well, and I run into a lot, it's kind of shocking. If someone seems too charming, too put together, too attractive.
Are you talking about me? sorry.
I knew she was
I'm
slip
just
this
kidding.
in.
I'm kidding.
Sometimes, what I'm finding, sometimes that's a bit of these are some traits of a narcissist or kind of a sociopath. So you got to be really careful if they come on too hard and very, very much into selling. I have a friend of mine yesterday who just, I hate to say this, she put a picture on Facebook. She was with someone who came on really charming, really pursuing, tried to claim he was all these things, and he beat her up really badly and put that picture up there, and I'm saddened and shocked by it, and I can't sort of unsee it now. But I see it a lot, and I actually work with groups of narcissists, sociopaths sometimes. So they're out there, they're amongst us, and I think it's important. I'm not saying be scared. I am not saying be scared. I'm saying be aware.
I would add, if somebody who's half my age suddenly says she likes me and flirts with me, I looked at it very suspiciously, because if it's more than one generations.
Why? Everyone has taste. Everyone has a different type. Just see what they're in it for. Maybe that person's taste is you.
I'll try that.
Unless she says she has an inheritance
Yeah.
and she's from Russia and she needs
was
you
saying
to transfer it to your bank account for her. That's a different thing.
Right.
Things
One
that we
profile
see.
I read that was really interesting, because the profile said that she's not interested in anybody who's really old unless they're really sick and have a lot of money. So I thought it was, at least you put it in your profile.
I can't tell if you're joking, but
No, that was seriously in her profile.
okay.
Wow.
That sounds like a red flag.
It is, yeah, it is definitely.
I'll give that a red flag.
Yeah, I would give it a red. I'd wave it.
I think that will be the last question because we have to wrap up.
Okay, I've got 2 questions.
Okay.
2 questions. First question is about distance relationship. Because my friend actually introduced me to a guy from Tampa. We called each other, but I decided to end it because it's a long distance. I don't really trust it, because I don't know how we can get to know each other. And he said he's not going to move to DC. I have to, if everything goes well, I have to move to Tampa. So I don't trust it. Like I'm in DC, he's in Tampa. How do we really get to know each other? How do we bond with each other? So
The
that's
question is,
thing.
would you be willing
Yeah.
to go to Tampa? And if the answer is no, then there's
just
your
cut it.
There's there's the answer.
I mean, for distance relationship, do you think it work?
That's a
How
broad
do we-
question.
It's
It
difficult.
can. There's not. I don't think there's any absolutes here. It's are you open to dating somebody in another city or country? Do you want to put in the time, the energy, the money? It certainly can work. I think there's more challenges and obstacles involved. It may take longer to really get to know the person, for example. It may feel like a vacation for the first 6 months, but it doesn't mean it can't work. So it's really about whether your personal preference, whether you are open to that.
I should really speak to this because I don't know if you know, my wife is right there. She's from Australia. So we got to know each
farther than
other
Tampa.
kind of Skype dating. So the question is,
Yeah, that's a bit
can
further.
it work? Yes, it absolutely can work. But there's got to be, there's got to be something good in it as far as, do you appreciate this person? Do you feel more understood than you've ever felt? Do you feel connected with them? Do you feel like there's something worth, like there's going to be a lot of hurdles between time and space and money and all these things. So all of those things are going to come up, and some people are worth it, some people are not, and you'll be the one that gets to make that distinction.
Sorry to interrupt,
in its
but
most-
we have to wrap
Yep.
up, unfortunately.
FaceTime him and Skype.
Yes, I mean, we will have obviously like, future seminars that we were going to cover a lot of different subjects that we probably, if you do attend the next seminar, you'll be able to ask more of the questions. Quick.
Sometimes I'm confused about the age difference because I got emails like a guys like 12 years older than me, 14 years older than me, 16 years older than me. So what's
Whatever you feel
what's the
comfortable
maximum?
with.
Yeah.
Whatever
What's
you feel comfortable
reasonable?
with. My brother and
There's
his
no
wife,
reasonable.
my brother is like 45, his wife is 29.
It goes the other way,
there's
too.
almost
It's
16
whatever you
years,
feel
yeah.
comfortable
It's like
with.
it's all whatever you feel comfortable.
Of course it
Yes.
does, sure.
I
Whatever.
don't see that very often actually. I see.
Definitely.
That's because society has told us that
Yes.
the man should be older.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Erica, Dave, and Tammy, again, thank you
Thank you.
so much for coming today. I really, really appreciate it. You made this show so much better. And you could actually watch all the future shows on YouTube. It's going to be on The Happiness Journey. This is my channel, and we'll be able to post all the shows in there. Again, thank you all for coming today. I really appreciate it. A big round of applause.
Great job, dude.